Elementals. Season 1, Episode 1, Awakening Shadows. Prologue, The Old Song. The wind carried whispers through the valley of echoes, where ancient stone monuments stood like silent guardians. Kael, a young rock person, ran his crystalline fingers across the weathered surface of the largest monument, tracing the carved symbols that told stories of a time before memory.
The song of the first battle,
his grandmother, Elder Petra, said from behind him. Her voice was like grinding stones, deep and patient.
You've been coming here every evening for a month now. What troubles you, child?
Kael turned, his gray stone features catching the last rays of the setting sun, making the quartz veins in his skin shimmer.
The dreams, grandmother. They're getting stronger. I see fire and darkness, and 4 great beings fighting against something. Evil!
Petra's expression hardened, the cracks in her ancient face deepening.
The elementals,
she said quietly.
The first ones. It has been 300 years since anyone reported such visions.
She placed a heavy hand on his shoulder.
Come. If the old memories are awakening, then the council must know.
Chapter 1, The Council of Minerals. The Grand Cavern of Unity was a marvel of natural architecture, its ceiling lost in darkness while bioluminescent moss painted the walls in blues and greens. Representatives from all the mineral communities gathered in a great circle, each group distinct in their composition and bearing. Kael stood nervously beside his grandmother at the Rock Peoples section, watching as the council assembled. To his left, the lava people glowed with inner fire, their bodies shifting between solid and molten states. Their representative, a fierce warrior named Ignis, stood with arms crossed, his expression unreadable. Across the circle, the water people flowed and rippled, their forms never quite still. Their elder, Marina, was in deep conversation with Glacius, the Ice People's ambassador, whose crystalline body refracted light into dancing rainbows. Above them all, literally floating near the cavern's upper reaches, the air people swirled in barely visible eddies. Their speaker, a being named Zephyr, descended slowly as the gathering came to order.
"We are assembled,"
announced Terra, the eldest of the rock people and head of the council. Her voice echoed through the chamber.
"Elder Petra has requested this emergency session. The floor is yours, old friend."
Petra stepped forward, and the chamber fell silent. Even the ever-moving water people stilled.
3 nights ago, my grandson Kael experienced the first vision,
Petra began.
Last night, 2 young ice people from the northern reaches reported similar dreams. This morning, a grass person from the Emerald Meadows arrived with the same tale.
She paused, letting the weight of her words settle.
The memories are awakening.
A ripple of unease passed through the assembly. Ignis stepped forward, flames dancing higher along his shoulders.
The memories have been dormant since the Shadow King's defeat. Why would they return now? Our world is at peace.
Is it?
The question came from an unexpected source. A figure stepped from the shadows at the cavern's edge, an obsidian golem, his black surface absorbing the light around him. His name was Onyx, and he was a veteran of the last great battle against the Shadow King.
I too have felt disturbances. Not dreams, but something else. The deep places of the world are restless.
Marina's liquid form surged forward.
What kind of restlessness? Speak plainly, Onyx.
The kind that comes before storms.
Onyx replied, his voice like glass scraping stone.
I have lived longer than most here. I remember the warning signs from the last war, the tremors in the deep earth, the way the minerals hum with nervous energy, the unnatural silence of creatures who sense danger before we do.
Zephyr descended further, his airy form coalescing into something more solid.
The winds have been strange as well. They carry scents from places that should not exist, ash from fires that haven't been lit, frost from winters not yet come.
Terra raised her hands, calling for silence as worried murmurs spread through the assembly.
We will not panic. The Harmony Stone remains secure, yes?
She looked to the Rock People's contingent.
It does.
Petra confirmed.
Guarded in the deep vault, as it has been for centuries. Its power is stable.
Then we investigate before we assume the worst.
Terra declared.
I propose we send an expedition to consult the Chronicle Keepers. If these visions mean something, the ancient records will tell us.
The Chronicle Keepers?
Kael whispered to his grandmother.
I thought they were just stories.
Many things we dismiss as stories are simply truths we've forgotten.
Petra murmured back. Ignis stepped forward again.
I volunteer to lead this expedition. If there is danger coming, we should send our strongest.
Strength alone won't help you read ancient texts,
said a new voice. A grass person emerged from a side passage, her form tall and willowy, composed of interwoven vines and flowering plants. Her name was Verdana, and she was the chief scholar of her people.
The Chronicle Keepers value knowledge over might. I should go.
Then it's settled.
Terra said.
A mixed party. Ignis for protection, Verdana for wisdom. Who else?
I will go,
Onyx said.
I knew some of the keepers in the old days. They might still remember me.
Marina's form rippled.
And someone should represent the water people. Our histories speak of the keepers dwelling near the sunken archives. I volunteer.
Kael found himself speaking before he could stop himself.
I should go too. I'm the one having the visions. Maybe I'm supposed to see something.
The council chamber erupted in debate. A young, untested rock person on a potentially dangerous mission. Petra gripped his arm, but there was something in her expression. Not anger, but recognition. Terra's voice cut through the noise.
The boy speaks true. If the elementals are reaching out through dreams, perhaps they chose him for a reason.
She fixed Kael with a penetrating stare.
Are you prepared for what this might mean, young one? This is not an adventure. This is a responsibility.
Kael's stone heart hammered in his chest, but he stood firm.
I'm ready.
Then it's decided.
Terra announced.
5 representatives will journey to the Chronicle Keepers at the edge of understanding. You leave at first light. May the elementals watch over you.
Chapter 2. Preparations and Portents. The night before departure, Kael found sleep impossible. He stood on the balcony of his family's dwelling, carved into the cliff face of the Rock People's city, and watched the stars.
Nervous?
His sister Mika materialized beside him, her smaller frame dotted with specks of shimmering mica that gave her her name.
Terrified.
Kael admitted.
Good. Father always said fear keeps you sharp.
Mika leaned against the balcony's edge.
I heard grandmother gave you something.
Kael reached into the pouch at his side and pulled out a smooth, round stone. It was unremarkable except for a single symbol carved into its surface, the mark of the rock elementals, the ancient ancestors.
It's a memory stone,
Kael explained.
Grandmother said it belonged to her grandmother, passed down through generations. It's supposed to. I don't know. Help me remember things I never knew.
That's cryptic, even for grandmother,
Mika said with a small smile. Then her expression grew serious.
Promise me you'll come back. Mother is trying to be strong, but she's worried.
I promise,
Kael said, though the words felt heavier than they should. Across the city, in the Lava People's District, where the very ground glowed with residual heat, Ignis was having a very different conversation.
You're making a mistake,
Pyra, the Lava People's High Commander, said. Her molten form burned brighter with agitation.
Taking a child on this mission, if there really is danger.
Then he needs to face it.
Ignis interrupted.
You weren't in that council chamber, Pyra. You didn't see his eyes when he spoke about the visions. The elementals don't choose randomly if they're speaking through him.
If they're speaking through him, he might not survive what they have to say,
Pyra countered.
The elementals were powers beyond our comprehension. Their gift to us was peace, not a burden for a young rock person barely past his first century.
Ignis's form cooled slightly, his equivalent of a sigh.
I know, but running from destiny doesn't prevent it from finding you. Better to meet it prepared.
He turned to face her fully.
I'll protect him. I swear it on my flame.
Pyra's anger dimmed.
You'd better. If anything happens to that boy, his grandmother will crack your skull open, and I'll help her.
Meanwhile, in the flowing crystal halls of the Water People's domain, Marina prepared in solitude. She stood in a meditation chamber, the walls created from frozen waterfalls, and reached out with her senses to the ocean far below. The water spoke to her in its ancient language of currents and depths. But tonight, beneath the familiar rhythms, she felt something else, a discord, a disruption in the deep places where even the Water People rarely ventured.
What are you trying to tell me?
She whispered to the water. The answer came not in words, but in feeling, a sensation of something old, something vast, something stirring in the darkness. Marina's form shuddered. Whatever was coming, they would need more than 5 people to stop it. Chapter 3. The Journey Begins. Dawn broke over the valley of echoes in shades of amber and rose. The 5 travelers gathered at the valley's edge, where the ancient monument stood sentinel. Kael adjusted the pack on his back, checking his supplies for the 3rd time. Rope woven from metal thread grass, preserved food, though rock people needed little sustenance, a canteen of mineral water, and the memory stone from his grandmother now hanging on a cord around his neck.
Ready, young one?
Onyx's voice startled him. The obsidian golem moved silently despite his sighs.
As ready as I'll ever be,
Kael replied. The group assembled in a loose formation. Ignis took the lead, his form bright in the morning light. Verdana walked beside him, her flowering vines already reaching toward the sun. Onyx and Marina flanked the group, while Kael found himself in the center.
The Chronicle Keepers dwell 3 days' journey to the east.
Verdana explained as they began walking.
We'll cross the Whispering Plains today, camp at the Silverstream River tonight, then traverse the Fractured Badlands tomorrow. If all goes well, we'll reach the Edge of Understanding by sunset the 3rd day.
And if things don't go well?
Kael asked.
Then we adapt.
Ignis said simply. The whispering plains earned their name from the constant breeze that moved through the tall grasses, creating an endless susurrus of sound. The grass here was no ordinary vegetation. These were distant cousins of the grass people, semi-sentient plants that swayed and bent with purpose. As they walked, Verdana would occasionally stop to place her hand on certain plants, communing with them in ways Kael couldn't understand. After the third such pause, she reported,
The grasses say no one has passed this way in months. We are alone.
For now,
Onyx added darkly. By midday, they reached the heart of the plains. Kael had never been this far from home, and despite the nervous energy thrumming through him, he couldn't help but marvel at the landscape. The grasses stretched to the horizon in every direction, rippling like a green ocean.
It's beautiful,
he said aloud. Marina's voice came from beside him, her liquid form gliding effortlessly over the ground.
Wait until you see the sunken archives. Buildings made entirely of water, frozen in time but still flowing. Libraries where the books are currents, and you read by letting them flow through you.
You've been there.
Once, many years ago, when I was training to become an elder, the water people maintain close ties with certain chronicle keepers. We share knowledge of the deep places.
What are the chronicle keepers like?
Kael asked.
Are they like us?
Marina's form rippled with what might have been laughter.
That's complicated. Some were once like us, others are older. They've existed since the time of the elementals, some say. They've shed many of their physical forms to become one with knowledge itself.
Before Kael could ask more, Ignis called for a halt.
Something's wrong.
The group immediately went on alert. Kael looked around, but saw nothing except endless grass.
What is it?
Verdana asked, her vines tensing.
Listen,
Ignis said. They did, and Kael realized what had alarmed the lava person. The whisper of the grasses had stopped. The plains had gone completely silent. Onyx's obsidian surface seemed to absorb even more light.
we're being watched.
by what?
Kael whispered. The answer came in a rush of movement. The grasses around them began to thrash and bend, not from wind, but from something moving beneath them, fast, coming closer.
Form up,
Ignis commanded. The travelers quickly arranged themselves in a defensive circle, backs to each other. The grasses parted, and creatures emerged. They were like nothing Kael had ever seen, vaguely humanoid, but made of twisted, blackened vegetation. Their eyes glowed with a sickly purple light, and they moved with jerky, unnatural motions.
Impossible.
Verdana breathed.
Those are corrupted grass people. But corruption like this hasn't been seen since
Since the Shadow King.
Onyx finished grimly. He raised his massive fists.
It seems your instincts were correct, Marina. Something dark is indeed stirring.
The corrupted creatures circled them, at least a dozen strong. One of them opened what passed for a mouth and released a sound like dying vegetation, a dry, rattling hiss that raised the mineral hairs on Kael's neck.
Can they be saved?
Kael asked Verdana. Her expression was pained.
I don't know. The corruption runs deep, but we can try to subdue them without...
The creatures attacked before she could finish. They moved with frightening speed, their vine-like limbs stretching unnaturally long. Ignis met the first wave with a blast of flame, creating a wall of fire that made the creatures recoil.
I don't want to burn them if they can be saved.
Then we do this the hard way.
Onyx said. He charged forward, his obsidian fists smashing into the corrupted creatures with devastating force. They shattered like dried wood, but more kept coming. Marina transformed into a whirling vortex of water, spinning rapidly to create a barrier that swept several creatures off their feet. Verdana sent her own vines out to grapple with the corrupted ones, trying to restrain rather than destroy. Kael stood frozen for a moment, overwhelmed. He wasn't a warrior. He was just a scholar, someone who read old texts and studied ancient monuments. What could he possibly do? A corrupted creature broke through their defenses and lunged at him. Instinct took over. Kael raised his arms, and something inside him responded. The ground beneath the creature suddenly erupted, stone spikes shooting upward to cage it without impaling it. The creature thrashed in its prison, but it held. Kael stared at his hands in shock. He'd never done anything like that before.
Kael, focus!
Ignis's shout snapped him back to the moment. The battle continued, but now Kael moved with purpose. Each time a creature approached, he manipulated the stone beneath them, creating barriers, cages, or simply making them stumble. It was exhausting. He could feel his energy draining with each use of his power. But it was working. After what felt like an eternity, but was probably only minutes, the last corrupted creature fell. Some were destroyed, but Verdana had managed to capture several in vine cocoons.
Is everyone all right?
Marina asked, reforming into her usual shape. Various affirmations came from the group, though everyone looked shaken. Ignis's flames burned low, a sign of his exhaustion. Onyx had cracks in his obsidian surface that would take time to heal. Verdana's vines were wilted in places, and Kael felt like he'd run for miles uphill.
What were those things?
He asked, breathing heavily.
A warning.
Onyx said, examining one of the destroyed creatures.
This corruption is fresh, days old at most. Something is actively spreading it.
Verdana knelt beside one of the captured creatures, her expression sorrowful.
These were people once. Grass people from one of the outer settlements, I think. Someone or something twisted them into these monsters.
The question is who?
Marina said.
The Shadow King was defeated. His essence was supposed to be sealed away forever.
Supposed to be and is are two different things.
Ignis observed grimly. He looked at Kael.
Those were some impressive moves back there, young one. Where did you learn to manipulate stone like that? I don't know,
Kael admitted.
It just happened. I wasn't thinking. I just did it.
Onyx and Marina exchanged meaningful glances.
The visions.
Marina said.
They're not just dreams. They're awakening something in you. The elemental's power, perhaps.
But I'm not special,
Kael protested.
I'm just
someone the elementals chose to speak through,
Onyx interrupted.
Stop selling yourself short. We need to get you to the Chronicle Keepers more urgently than I thought. They need to see this.
They gathered what they could salvage from the encounter, samples of the corruption for Verdana to study, and prepared to move on. But the mood had changed. What started as a journey to seek knowledge had become something more. They were now racing against something dark awakening. Chapter 4. Camp at Silverstream. The Silverstream River lived up to its name, its waters literally silver with dissolved minerals. The group made camp on its banks as the sun set, painting the sky in brilliant oranges and purples. Kael sat apart from the others, staring at the memory stone his grandmother had given him. In the firelight Ignis had created, carefully controlled to avoid another grass fire, the carved symbol seemed to pulse with its own internal glow.
Trouble sleeping,
Verdana settled down beside him, her form dimming as the flowers closed for the night.
Too much to think about,
Kael admitted.
What happened today? Those creatures used to be people, and now they're gone, or worse than gone. They're being used as weapons.
It's a heavy burden to bear witness to.
Verdana said gently.
The corruption of the Shadow King was always his most insidious weapon. It didn't just destroy, it perverted. It took what was good and beautiful and twisted it into something dark.
But he's gone. Everyone says so.
His physical form was destroyed, yes. But darkness like his doesn't simply vanish. It lingers. It seeps into cracks and waits for opportunity.
Verdana gestured to the memory stone.
May I?
Kael handed it to her. She held it up to the firelight, studying the symbol.
This is very old,
she said.
Older than the Shadow King's war. This dates back to the first battle, when the elementals fought Cosmo himself.
She traced the symbol with a delicate vine.
Do you know what it means?
Grandmother never told me.
It's the symbol for remembrance.
Verdana explained.
But not just memory of the past. It's about carrying the past forward, being a living link between what was and what will be.
She handed it back.
Your grandmother gave you more than a family heirloom. She gave you a purpose.
Before Kael could respond, Marina's voice called out from the river.
Everyone, come see this.
They gathered at the water's edge. Marina stood partially submerged, her form agitated.
What's wrong?
Ignis asked, flames rising higher with concern.
The water,
Marina said.
It's trying to tell me something, but the message is fragmented, like it's been damaged or blocked.
She closed her eyes, concentrating.
There are disturbances in the deep places. Multiple disturbances, not just here, all across the planet.
How many?
Onyx asked.
Too many to count. It's like
Marina struggled to find words.
Like someone is probing, testing defenses, looking for weaknesses.
Looking for what specifically?
Verdana pressed. Marina opened her eyes, and there was genuine fear in them.
For the Harmony Stone.
Silence fell over the camp. The Harmony Stone was the most powerful artifact on the planet, capable of maintaining the balance between all the mineral peoples. If it fell into the wrong hands...
We need to send word back,
Ignis said immediately.
If someone is searching for the stone...
No time,
Onyx interrupted.
It would take a messenger 2 days to reach the council, and 2 more for them to mobilize defenses. We're 3 days from the Chronicle Keepers. If anyone knows how to protect against this threat, it's them.
So we split up.
Verdana suggested.
Some continue to the Keepers, others return to warn the council.
No.
The word came from Kael, surprising everyone, including himself. But as he spoke, he felt a certainty he couldn't explain.
We can't split up. We're supposed to stay together. All 5 of us. That's important somehow. How do you know?
Ignis asked, his tone more curious than challenging. Kael touched the memory stone at his chest. It was warm, almost hot.
I just... know. The same way I knew how to trap those creatures. Something is guiding me.
Marina studied him intently.
The elementals are speaking through you more clearly now. The further we get from your home, the stronger the connection becomes.
Why would distance matter?
Kael asked.
Because the Chronicle Keepers aren't just guardians of knowledge,
Onyx explained.
They're guardians of sacred ground. The place where the elementals first touched this world after defeating Cosmo. Being near that place, it amplifies their power. And if you're connected to them...
He let the implication hang.
Then the closer we get, the more Kael becomes a conduit.
Verdana finished.
Which could be dangerous.
Or necessary,
Marina countered.
If the elementals are reaching out after 3 centuries of silence, they must have a reason.
They decided to take watches through the night, 2 awake at all times. Kael took the first watch with Onyx, sitting by the slowly dying fire while the others rested.
You're handling this well,
Onyx observed.
Most people your age would be panicking.
Who says I'm not?
Kael replied.
I'm just panicking quietly.
That drew a sound like grinding glass from Onyx, his equivalent of a laugh.
Fair enough.
He was quiet for a moment, staring into the flames.
I was there, you know, at the final battle with the Shadow King.
Really?
I was much younger then, barely formed, but I remember.
Onyx's obsidian surface reflected the firelight strangely, creating shifting patterns.
The Shadow King wasn't just powerful, he was patient. He'd been banished long before my time, but he spent centuries in exile, slowly building his strength, gathering followers, planning his return. When he finally struck, we were unprepared.
But you won,
Kael said.
At great cost. Entire communities were wiped out. The landscape itself was scarred. And even in defeat, the Shadow King laughed. He said,
Onyx paused, as if remembering something painful.
He said darkness is patient, that his defeat was merely an intermission.
You think he's returning?
I think,
Onyx said carefully,
that something is. Whether it's him or something else using his methods, the result is the same. And I think the elementals knew this day would come. That's why they're reaching out now, through you.
Kael felt the weight of that responsibility settle over him like a physical thing.
What if I fail? What if I'm not strong enough?
Then you die trying,
Onyx said bluntly.
But here's what I've learned in my long years. Strength isn't just about power. It's about endurance, about continuing when everything in you wants to stop. Your grandmother didn't choose you because you're the strongest rock person. She chose you because you have something more important. Heart.
The night passed slowly. When Kael's watch ended and he finally lay down to sleep, his dreams were waiting. Chapter 5. The First Vision. Kael found himself standing in a place that was and wasn't the world he knew. The landscape was familiar, mountains, rivers, forests, but everything was somehow more vivid, more real, more alive. 4 figures stood before him, so massive they seemed to touch the sky itself. Even in dreams, Kael knew what they were. The elementals. The fire elemental burned with an intensity that should have been painful to look at, but wasn't. It was warmth and light, and transformation all at once. The water elemental flowed and crashed, containing all the oceans and rivers and rains that ever were and ever would be. The earth elemental was solid and unmoving, yet Kael could feel the power beneath its surface, the potential for mountains to rise and earthquakes to remake the world. And the air elemental was everywhere and nowhere, invisible yet undeniable, the breath between all things.
Young one.
They spoke as one, their voices harmonizing in ways that made reality itself vibrate.
You have been chosen to remember.
Remember what?
Kael heard himself ask.
What was forgotten? What was sealed away? What must remain sealed?
The scene shifted. Kael saw a great battle, the same one carved into the monuments of his home, but experiencing it was nothing like reading about it. He felt the terror of facing Cosmo, a darkness so complete it threatened to swallow existence itself. He felt the elementals' desperate struggle, their power pushed to its limits. And he felt something else. A moment in the battle when the elementals did something unexpected, something not recorded in any history he'd read. They didn't just banish Cosmo, they split him, divided his essence into pieces, and scattered them across the world, each piece sealed in a different location.
The seals are weakening.
The elemental's voice echoed.
They were never meant to last forever. Only until the world was ready.
Ready for what?
To face the choice. To remember that darkness cannot be destroyed, only transformed. To understand that the only way to truly defeat shadow is to integrate it, to accept it as part of the whole.
The vision shifted again. Kael saw the Shadow King, but now he understood. The Shadow King was one of those pieces of Cosmo, not the whole, but a fragment. And there were others. The visions showed him glimpses, a frozen wasteland where something stirred beneath the ice, a volcanic chasm where flames burned with wrong colors, a deep ocean trench where the water itself seemed corrupted.
The seals are breaking,
the elementals said.
The fragments are awakening, and they seek what they have always sought, to reunite, to become whole once more.
How do I stop it?
Kael pleaded.
You don't,
they replied, and Kael felt his heart sink.
But you remember. And in remembering, you help the world remember that they have faced this before, that they survived, that they were never alone.
One of the elementals, the Earth one, stepped forward. Its form solidified into something almost like a rock person, almost like Kael himself.
We gave pieces of ourselves to create you,
it said, its voice now singular, almost gentle.
All the mineral peoples carry our essence. When you work together, when you remember you are all part of the same whole, you are stronger than any darkness.
But we're divided,
Kael said.
The council can barely agree on anything. The mineral communities compete and distrust each other. How can we?
That is why you were chosen.
The Earth elemental interrupted.
To remind them. To be the memory stone that helps them remember what they've forgotten.
It reached out, and even though Kael knew this was a dream, he felt a physical touch on his chest, where his grandmother's stone hung.
We planted seeds long ago, knowing this time would come. Now, those seeds must sprout.
The dream began to fade, reality bleeding back in at the edges.
Wait!
Kael called.
I don't understand. What seeds? What am I supposed to do?
The last thing he heard before waking was the elemental's united voice, echoing across dimensions.
Find the other memories. Gather the fragments of truth. And remember, young stone bearer, every ending is also a beginning.